G'day my friends, Marty Ware here from Marty's Garden. Yeah, but I've got a planting for you today. These are Asian greens, yes, mostly mizunas, mustards and some coloured bok choy. They get really nice, or pok choy, however you want to pronounce it right, but it's tasty. I've got some cos lettuce at the back, these are dwarf ones, but today we're going to plant out these guys because it's winter here in Australia on the mid-north coast. Now I live in a subtropical region and these grow really good this time of year, especially in my worm castings, because the thing is worm castings just have so many benefits for growing amazing, healthy, pest chemical-free plants. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it and talk more about that during the planting. So yeah, let's get into the video. So this is my container that I've got, and it's about 18 centimeters deep. Just got a couple of holes in the bottom for drainage, and I've put around about 1.5 inches, so about 3 or 4 centimeters deep of basalt volcanic rock. Now you can use any type of pebble for this. You can even use old broken up clay pots, what they get the saying from crock of shit, that's where that comes from. And this basalt rock, it's a special rock, it's very light, they use it in fish filters and things like that. Now, this is only optional, but it's coated in the worm cask, because it's been sitting in the bottom of my worm farm, and this is just to add extra beneficial bacteria to the growth. Now, as I said, it's really only optional, and it's probably a bit of overkill in some ways, but I just love doing this type of stuff, and I find that I treat my plants really nice. They're going to treat me great as well and provide lots of yummy food. So this is my compost. Now there's some worms in here. This comes out of the windrow, and I've got most of the worms out because I've been scooping. I just scooped the top where it was cold, and some little ones in here, and they'll live in here happily, no problem, amongst the plants. And so I'm just going to fill it up around about 2/3 full. Now I don't have any type of sort of like a little mulch or something to put over the top of it, which I normally would have. Unfortunately I don't have that. You can see the worms, look. There's one there, he's cold. Little tiger. Go in there, mate. We'll re-release you back into the windrow later. We might need a bit more of that soil. Well, it's not really a soil, it's a compost that I make at home out of my windrows, and this stuff, it grows plants like absolutely crazy. And what we've got now is some worm castings, right? And what I want to do, now there's already worm castings in this compost, but I just want to show you as an example because the worms have been going through all the compost. But what I do is I put just a light layer on top, because lettuce and leafy greens generally have shallow rooted systems. So I just break up all these little balls or little casting balls and sort of mix it in. And that will be a slow release fertilizer for the plants, and also all that microbiology that's locked in there. It's just be wonderful. Now you don't really get too many problems with nematodes and things like that when you're growing in pots. But you know, you do get pests that come along and attack plants. Of course they love to do that, right? So what we're doing when we're adding worm castings, around about 10% around the root zone, and a little bit more when you do the planting, but just the top structure around about 10%. What it's doing is it's helping the plant form a stronger root. And when it does that, it's uptaking the nutrients from it, which is slow release and doesn't burn any of the roots or anything like that. What happens is the plant grows a stronger cell wall. And so these plants are actually, look, these are not organic seedlings. I did not raise these. I bought these just the other day because I'm running a bit behind time and schedule on things. But they will become, you know, pretty close to it, right? So I'm not sure what they're growing in, what type of medium. I just bought it from the shop called Bunnings. And no, it's just $3 for that. And look, they'll be pretty tasty and they will take off in this container here, and I'm really actually excited to do it. So I'm creating a bit of a furrow through here like this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of like squeeze the sides. So if you squeeze the sides around like that, and I've given it a water with some liquid seaweed first to stop any stress. And you can see the roots, they're fairly healthy, they're nice and white. It's not too compacted, that's what you're looking for when you're buying seedlings. And if it's too compact, it means it's sort of fighting and wants extra nutrients and things. So that'll grow really quickly. And if we have a look at one, we can go into here. Now I can't see any chemical fertilizers in there. That's really cool. That looks like it's just growing in some type of like composty sort of thing. So that's maybe even more excited. Now there's Mizuna growing right next to this. I think it's a little mustard there, or a little purple bok choy. And so I'm just going to keep them together. This is going to be like a mass planting, and the root is quite long, so we want to try and keep the root as straight as possible, and then it'll go down into that rock below. And I'm not going to dig them in yet because I'm going to fill in again a bit more as we go. And like I said, it's going to be a bit of a mass planting. So as I'm looking at this, I've got quite a lot. There's like 2 seedlings in each one. And I'm going to be picking the baby leaves off to eat these and eat them with microgreens and other salads and things like that. So that's why I plant these. If you're going to actually want going for the more mature plants, then you want to actually have more space at what I'm doing. But I'll eat one of these, then that whole plant will come out and I'll leave one. And I'll just chop it at the base and let the roots rot. And then I'll leave one to expand out. So I'm using up my space because I'm like a small space gardener. I love small space gardening. And so we'll get these all in here like this. And what I'll do is I'll put them sort of sporadically around the place. Just, no, it's not like companion planting, but in a way it is. Any pests come in, it's going to confuse them. I don't want to put a Mizuna right next to another Mizuna, so to speak. And I'm pretty sure from memory that could be a giant red mustard. The mustards look a lot of the same, even like the bok choy even look a bit like some of the mustards as well. So I guess we'll know in time. I should have read the label a bit better. I haven't grown any Asian greens for so long. I normally eat them all before they get big. And so I'm pretty excited about this planting. So I've already taken them outside and given them a bit of a water with some of my worm liquid coming out of the worm farms. Now that stuff is just gold, and that's going to be the major fertilizer for this. No money more spent on this other than these seedlings. Now if you want to learn how to grow seedlings, check out the link below and it'll show you how to grow seedlings using worm farming methods, and you never have to pay any money and you get amazing results just like this. You just start with the seedlings. It's so cheap. But what I'm going to do now, because I've already planted them in, I'm just going to backfill a little bit around here with this compost. I went and had a read on the label, and even the labeling, they've got it wrong on this. They said white bok choy and Japanese greens, and the Japanese greens is the Mizuna. So this one here, which has got a really sort of amazing flavour, and I'm pretty sure these are purple bok choys, but after having a really good look at them. And look, I'm super excited to get these in. And the reason why I grow like this is because not only is it so cheap, but the plants just grow so well, and it's such a healthy way to live. Like, you just can't beat growing in your own compost. Now, if you can't get your own compost, go for a premium potting mix, and then mix in around about 10% of the worm cast into your potting mix, and then just sprinkle a bit around the root zone when you're planting, and then a little bit on top like I'm doing right now, and sort of like a mulch cover, and that'll just go right down in. Now this one here is still sticking out a bit, so I'll fill up some castings around the root zone, and that way they get access to this nutrient straight away and all the biology around that, because these plants are going to start photosynthesizing, right? And they're just going to start absolutely loving this. Now, you can hear my passion coming through in the video. Let me know in the comments box down below if you're excited about this too, because look, I do predominantly worm farm to grow plants, and my channel is basically more of a worm farming channel, but this is the end result that we get. And so I want to teach you guys how to do this as well and get amazing plants that you can eat at home. Now, I'm a small space gardener, a micro farmer, and I've done this compact planting for a reason, right? Because I'm going to be picking off this nearly every day, just tiny little amounts. I walk around the garden and grab a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I get a little bit of Mizuna, a little bit of bok choy, and mix it together in with some other leafy greens, you know, some nasturtiums, bit of lettuce and things, and we're away to go. Now, you can put in a worm tea into here and spray them on the leaves, but just make sure that you leave it a day or two, you give them a good wash when you eat it, and make sure you strain any of the worm tea that goes in there, because these guys just block up. But I like to give them a bit of a wet down at first. It helps with the transpiration rate and the shock, and they just absolutely fire away. Now, if you don't have any worm tea at the beginning, use a bit of liquid seaweed to get started, and that will help too. So I've got a morning sun position for these guys. They're going to be very welcome to the micro farm here. And look, I'm excited to have these going, and I can't wait to do a harvest. Not many worm farming channels actually share their garden results. And for me, I want to turn my waste into something valuable and grow amazing plants, chemical-free plants that are really, really healthy and good to eat and taste great. Look, these guys, once they start growing and I start watering them down and liquid fertilizing them with the worm liquid coming out of the worm farms, they get so strong and healthy, the cell wall gets so thick, and all the good bacteria builds around the root zone and helps it photosynthesize. And their natural oils that build up also help keep away pests and stuff. These plants are going to love being together. And it's a bit of a sort of like, as I said before, it's sort of a semi-companion planting. So when you're planting, you're doing small space stuff, try to keep away just one plant sort of like all rowed out like in a monoculture. Mix them up a bit and you'll find you get better results doing that way. Now, if you're digging the show and you're digging this video and you want to see things like this, end results from plants growing in the garden using worm tea, worm castings, all that type of stuff, let me know in the comments box down below if you think it's a really good thing. I love it. Give us a big bush ranger Aussie thumbs up, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.